أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I welcome you all again to another Tajweed session. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us ease and make it beneficial for every one of us. Today we'll be discussing another important topic, Makharijul Huruf, the articulation points of letters. We recall that we mentioned that Al-Quran was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Tajweed, and he also taught it to his companions with the same way. And when we are talking of Tajweed, it means we are talking of everything that that accompanies the best way and the best pronunciation or recitation of Al-Quran, and this does not exclude the points of articulation of letters. It is important, if you want to be able to recite Al-Quran in its best way, in order not to mixing up pronunciation of letters with one another, we need to master the point of articulation. We'll be defining Makharijul Huruf. We're talking about the kinds of articulations that we articulation point that we have and the areas of articulation. Makharij in Arabic means places of articulation. It is a plural of makhraj. Makhraj is singular, which means place. You know, we are talking of letters, Arabic letters here. It definitely means we are talking of place of articulating Arabic letters, because makharij or makhraj are derived from the three pillar word kharaja, which means he came. Kharaja, he went or he left. And makhraj now means place of articulation. هو محل خروج الحرف. It is the place of emitting letter عند النطق به, when it is being pronounced. يميزه عن غيره, that differentiates or distinguishes it from another letter. Now we are talking of letter. It's also important we know the definition of letter, that is harf. It is also harf, also singular of huruf. Huruf is the plural, which means letters, while harf means letter in Arabic language. It is defined as a sound that relies on a specific or approximate articulation point. وصوت اعتمد على محقق أو مقيد. It is from this definition that we are also able to denote the kinds of articulation points that we have. Muhaqqiqin, that is a specific or actual place of articulation, or muqayyad, the speculative or approximate articulation point. The kinds of articulation: actual or specific articulation points, which also means makhrajun, al-makhraju al-muhaqqiqu, al-makhraju al-muhaqqiqu. It relies on the specific place that we can actually point at. We can actually say that, okay, this is the area in which a particular letter is coming from. For instance, the throat, the tongue. We can say, okay, we can actually and specifically mention that a particular letter is coming from the throat, or a particular letter is coming from the tongue or the two lips. For instance, you want to pronounce meme. For instance, there is no how you can pronounce meme without your two lips coming together. You can actually say that the letter meme is being pronounced with the two lips. The second kind, which is the approximate or speculative articulation point. In this instance, there is no way we can say this is the exact place or space in which a letter is being pronounced, and we have just the three prolongation letters coming out from here, and that is the al-alf al-madiyya, huruf madiyya, alif, waw, and ya. The three prolongation letters are the ones coming out from these parts. To start with the articulation points of letters, scholars have different opinion as to the actual points of articulation. Those who opine that there are 14 points of articulation, 15 or 16 points of articulation, and even 17 points of articulation. According to Imam Ibn al-Jazri, known as al-Jazriya, he opined that there are 17 points of articulation, of which are grouped into 5 major areas. We can therefore say that there are 5 major areas of articulation. Then we have within these 5 areas, different articulation points, and everything summing up to 17 points of articulation. We have al-jawf, the empty space in between the throat and the mouth; al-halq, known as the throat; al-lisan, the tongue; al-shafatan, the two lips; al-khayshum, the nasal cavity or the nasal passage. The empty space, al-jawf, this is the place of emission of the 3 huruf al-madiyya, like as I said earlier. In this space, we cannot actually say that this is the specific part of the throat that these letters are being pronounced from, and this is because they are used for prolongation. They vanish within the air. For instance, amana, amana. The moment we stop breathing, then the letter vanished, and that is why he said it is being pronounced from the empty space in the mouth and throat, the 3 huruf al-madiyya. And these letters are, the alif must be alif as-sakina preceded by a letter with fatha. Like I said, amana, using an example. Okay, don't let me even use amana. Like qala, qala. You can see that the qaf here is having fatha. Then the alif madi is having sukun sacrosanctly. Qala. Then we'll be able to do the elongation. Qala. Then for wow, using qila as an sorry, I said qila. For wow, we can say utu al-kitab. For that utu, you can see that the alif, the letter preceding the wow, is having dhamma, and the wow is having sukun. We'll be able to do the elongation therein, and we say utu, that is maddi. And for ya, using qila, that I wanted to use the other time, qila, it must also be preceded with a letter. Ya must also be preceded with letter having kesro, qila. And I said qila, the qaf here is having kesro and the ya is having sukun. So these are the 3 huruf al-madiyya coming from al-jawf. The next area of articulation which is the throat. The throat. There are 3 articulation points in the throat for 6 different letters. We have أقصى الحلق, وسط الحلق, and أدنى الحلق. These are the 3 articulation points, and from each articulation point 2 letters are being pronounced from the 3 2 letters each are being pronounced from each articulation point in the throat. For أقصى الحلق, which is the deepest part of the throat, or we can even say it is the back of the throat. The 2 letters al-hamza wal-ha are coming out from here. Al-hamza, ah. If you point at your, is it the throat or at your neck, you pointing your finger at your neck and you pronounce ah, you'll be able to observe that hamza is being pronounced from the deepest part of the throat. And the same thing with al-ha, ha. It is also close, it is being pronounced from the chest. It is not the chest per se, there is no how you will pronounce ha without enlarging your chest, and it also comes from the throat. Then the second area in the throat, wasatul halq, the middle of the throat, we have al-ain wal-ha. Al-ain wal-ha coming from wasatu al-halqi. For instance, iyaka na'budu. We'll be able to observe that it is not coming from the deepest part nor the closest part of the throat. It is a region located at the level of the larynx, and that is where the 2 letters comes out from. Al-ain wal-ha, iyaka na'budu. And for al-ha, we can say ar-rahman ar-rahim. Ar-rahman ar-rahim. And the last part, adna al-halq, the closest part of the throat. It is also the part closer to the mouth, and al-ghain wal-kha are being pronounced from here. And that is why whenever we want to pronounce al-ghain wal-kha, they must be emphasized because they are strong letters. They are strong letters of which we have to feel our mouth when pronouncing them. Al-gha, you can see gha, they are heavy. We make them mufakhama, make them heavy and fill the mouth. Al-ghain wal-kha, depending on the vowel that they are possessing. Al-ghain wal-kha.